Well, like most Americans, I can recall exactly where I was and what I was doing 10 years ago on September 11th. My wife and I had recently sold our home and were moving into a temporary house while we were waiting for construction for our new house to be completed. I had gotten up early in the morning and was working with the movers to unload the truck. And after a couple hours, one of the movers came in and said, you know, he heard on his truck radio that something was happening in New York and he didn't know what. So I unloaded the TV out of a box, plugged it in. He and I started watching what was unfolding in New York. My wife wandered in the room and the other mover helping us came in. And we were all huddled around the TV watching in really stunned silence what was unfolding. And after watching for a little while, one of the movers who had recently moved to the United States looked over at my wife and I and said, really quite simply, "I'm so sorry," in very heavily accented English. And it was simple, but it was incredibly touching, and I think symbolized exactly what many of us felt that day of this, we're in this together. Later that evening, as my wife and I were watching the news reports, and it became clear the stunning cost of lives that day, my then 4-year-old daughter was asking why we were crying. And I remember the first time having to talk to her about there being bad people in the world, and then reassuring probably myself as much as her that there are good people that do help others. And it was, as many of us felt, there were just these poignant moments throughout the day that really affected all of our lives.